What's up, fam? Today I'm coming back at you with a new video, and today is going to be a big one. If you didn't know by now, Akai just dropped the newest version of the software for the MPC in standalone and controller mode use. Let's talk about it. Follow me. All right, before we get into all of the new features that they added into the MPC, and some of them are very, very big, let's go ahead and get the elephant out of the room first. For everybody that's been requesting this streaming and also the arranger mode from the Akai Force, that's not happening. Go ahead and get the tears out the way. All right, now that that's over with, let's get inside this madness going on right here. Number one, straight out the gate, one of the biggest things that I think is going to be a major improvement and something that a lot of people can use, especially for people using the MPC in standalone, the entire MPC line can now be used with a sound card as long as it's USB class compliant, like the one that I have right here. So that right there is going to be huge, especially for standalone users. If you have a sound card that's compatible, you can now plug it up and plug all your gear directly into that, and you off to the races. No need for a computer. I know a lot of y'all doing backflips right now. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about that's major for me, it takes a lot of guesswork out of sampling and editing your samples. The MPC and the MPC software now automatically detects the key when you import samples. So let's take a look at that right now. First thing we're going to do is jump into sample edit, and I'm going to drag a sample in there. So boom, I just drag in a sample from Block Squad Fresh, and the first thing this sample says is something I already know. The sample is in A minor, and you can see that right here on the screen when you're using controller mode, A minor. And on the MPC, in the sample edit window, you have to touch this tiny white arrow, and you'll see that the key says A minor. It also detects the BPM of 98.62. So that's very helpful. Not only that, when you go to process and pitch shift the sample up or down, we'll go up 5 semitones and hit do it. It'll also detect the new key. Now it's in the key of D. That's a dope feature right there, especially for people like me that ain't real keen on music theory. This will help out a tremendous amount. Literally takes away all of the guesswork. Now let's talk about a lot of the other features that are included in this new software update. The next big thing that they offer to us is a lot of new plugins and sound modules. Before, all we had was Bassline, Electric, and Tube Synth. Now they did give us the Hype Synth from the Akai Force and a few other ones. Let's go ahead and see what they all about right now. So we'll go to plugins. When you go to the instrument, you'll see we have Bassline, Electric, and Tube Synth. Those have always been there. Hybrid, if you added the optional hybrid plugin, which I do have. But now we have the Hype Synth from the Akai Force. And so here we can have a look at it. I know a lot of people have been asking for this, and now we finally got it. I can't wait to play with this thing a lot more to see what it can really do. Add a lot of nice texture to these beats coming out of here. I'm trying to tell you. All right, Now let's go ahead and go to the next one. So beyond the hype synth, we also have the Mellotron. Now this instrument is all about strings, choirs, things of that nature. It sounds really, really good too. Couple nice choirs in here, and I'm just going through the presets. There's so much more you can do with this than just the presets also. Let's get to the next one. So now we got the Solina instrument. And this instrument actually has multiple instruments across the key bed. Pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I played around with this one already a little bit. I like the stuff that it can do. Now, last but not least, we have the Odyssey instrument. Now, this one looks like a modular synthesizer from the look of it, but without the patch bay. That's something I would probably use. I kind of like that sound. By the way, all of these instruments do work in standalone. So you don't have to fear about that. These new instruments and new plugins all work in standalone. A+ material right there. Now, let's go to some of these new insert effects. Some of those are absolutely magic. Brand new to the MPC line is the vocal effects suite. I believe it's 3 vocal insert effects. Let's go check those out. We're going to go to vocal, air music technology, and I got to go to the big one first, in my opinion. The vocal tuner. They basically gave you auto-tune inside the MPC. I'm not going to test it right now, but you can see it on the screen. Once I get a chance to mess around with it, we'll find out how good it is. But I'm imagining that it can't be much different than everything that's out there. There are several different brands that make auto-tune style plugins. Waves Tune, Isotope Vocal Synth, Isotope Nectar, and several others that I can think of off the top of my head. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be pretty big. All you have to do is plug in a microphone to the MPC, and now you're off to the races. You don't need anything else. So this is going to be magic for a lot of people. Another thing that I would like to mention about the plugins, they have updated all of the plugins on the MPC. So when you do open them up, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, I've mentioned this several times on a lot of my videos. When you open up the Akai plugin, they just show up on the screen as numbers. But now, as you can see, they show up as the same plugin that you see on the actual MPC device. A+ for me. Let's go to the next insert inside this vocal suite now. We have the vocal doubler, and it gives you a double up effect on the vocal. And we also have a vocal harmonizer, which gives you a 4-part harmony on the vocal. Another step up, A+ material right there. Can't take nothing away from that. Again, they all work in standalone. It's going to be big for a lot of people as well. Now that we got the new vocal suite out the way, that's not actually the only new plugins that they gave us. They also gave us a lot more. And I know this is going to be pretty big. The Air HalfSpeed, which is a halftime type effect. So now we have halftime inside the MPC in standalone and controller mode use. Now, you know people wear halftime out. With that in mind, you already know what's about to happen with this. People are going to go crazy. And why go somewhere else when now you have it built in? Now, not only do we have halftime, we also have a stutter edit type of effect, which is in line with like the gross beats and things like that. It's a glitchy kind of effect that you can use on your samples to make them jump around a little bit. As much as people use things like stutter edit and gross beat, this is another one that people are going to definitely go crazy with. I think Akai did a really good job with this updating all of the stuff that they gave us to work with. There's also a new air limiter, which was basically a brick wall style limiter, perfect for mastering. That's the last thing in the chain. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. There are a few more plugins that Akai added into this thing. I'm not going to talk about them right now. You can discover some of those on your own. I just talk about the ones that I feel like are going to be the most important for what people are going to use every day. They also added the ability to save your plugin strips. So when you add your inserts to your instruments, you now have the ability to go in and save these inserts as an insert chain or an effects rack. And you can save it as a rack and pull it back up anytime you need it. Now, when you go to Program Edit, you'll notice that they updated the window. A lot of things have been rearranged and moved around, so it's not going to be exactly what you're used to, but everything is still handy, and they actually added more so that you can better get a hold of your samples and sounds and do what you really want to do with them. Now let's go ahead and try to make a beat with some of this new stuff that we got to play with. All right, one more thing before we get this thing started. Let me know what you think about the MPC 3.0 update so far. Drop it in the comments. Holla at me. I don't know how this beat is going to turn out, but I'm going to try to use as many of the new features as possible in making whatever this is going to be. Hopefully it turns out good, but it's very experimental, so we'll see as we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Cymatics, and I'm going to drag a sample in from there. Just a random sample. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't even think I've heard it before. So whatever it is, that's what we're going to work with, and then we're going to build everything from that point on. I am in the sample edit, so I'm going to drag this one in right here, drop it, and it's telling me that we are in D sharp minor as the key. So it detected the key right off the bat, D sharp minor. It says it's about 87 beats per minute. Let's preview the sample. Okay, so that's a real smooth sample. I'm going to go to chop, and I'm just going to put it in regions. Perfect even chops. I don't have to do anything else. It was already a perfect loop. All the work is done on that. Hold down shift, convert, and I'm going to go with pad parameters. That's what I always go with. Do it, and then we got our program. Since we know that our program is in D sharp minor, before I do anything, I'm going to go to pad perform, and I'm going to put the MPC also in D sharp minor. I'm not going to change the key. And if I do change the key, then I'll change it accordingly. But starting out right now, everything is D sharp minor. Let's go back to the sample. And here we are with the sample chop. I'm already at 88 beats per minute because I usually like to stay in that range anyway. Let's go to the sample. We know the sample, 87 beats per minute. So I'm going to turn on warp. And it was 87 point something. but I'm gonna go ahead and put it at 87. Also make sure it's on all so that it's warping all of the pads. Now I go back and switch it to current, just so I don't mess it up later, because sometimes if you keep it on all and you go to change the sample or pitch something, it may pitch all of them to a degree where you don't want it. So now I can change the tempo and the sample will change accordingly. I always start out in overdub. That's just my personal preference. All right, now that we got the sample laid, let's do something funky to it. I'm gonna go to the insert and I'm going to go to the Granulator effect. Put that on the screen. Let's see what it does to the sample off top before we do anything. So I kind of like what it sounds like right now. And I'm going to do a little bit of automation on the feedback. So what we're starting out with, name this track 1. That's going to be the sample. Now let's go to track 2. And for track 2, we're going to load up one of these instruments. Hype Synth been getting a lot of hype, so I got to try the Hype Synth. I've been wanting to try this since the Akai Force came out. So let's check it out. Go straight to Program Edit. And these are the default sounds right here. That one is kind of high. Let's go in Pad Perform and go drop it down a couple octaves, see what it sounds like. Now I wonder if that actually will go with the sample. It's in a lower octave. The sample kind of fits in a higher octave the way it sits right now, so it may work. We'll see. All right, we'll name that bass. Let's move to track 3. We're going to pull up a different instrument. Let's try out this Odyssey. New program. Let's see what the sounds sound like. That actually might work for what I'm doing. go to one of these new effects. I don't know what it is. We're going to mess around with it and see what it do. Let's go with the air stutter. See what some stutter effects are doing this thing. Off top, I can tell you I'm not testing it. I like the way it sounds already. I might mess around with it just so you can hear it, but I'm going to put it back to this. So let's solo this real quick so you can see what it sounds like with just that instrument. Let's turn it on. Kind of like that too. That's nice. And these are just the presets. So since we need some drums, here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna pull up none of my drums. We are gonna go to the drum synth. All right, now that we got the drums under control, I'm gonna go add another drum track. This time I'm gonna use a plugin I have. Just because I want some drums I wouldn't normally play, something out of the ordinary. Try to give me a little bit of a different flavor. All right, so let's put this VD deep on there. And I want this lo-fi all the way up. So let's go. All right, so now we're gonna open up the Mellotron. I don't know what the sound is, but I'm gonna go ahead and record this in. Let's go ahead and add another instrument here. We got the Mellotron, we got the Hype Synth, we got the Odyssey. Let's go ahead and round it off. Let's add Solina. Now I'm going to add bassline, and what I'm going to do with bassline is complement the bass that we already got, but I'm using a sub bass, so it's even a lower octave, just to fill the bass all the way out. And that concludes the beat. I'm going to mix it down and play with it a little bit. You can listen to the full beat after this, and I'm out.